What's up, guys? We are back with another Real 2K recap covering the games from October 5th and 6th, 2025. 8 total games. Starting off with the Thunder. Nikola Topic made his debut. He missed all of last year with a torn ACL. He had 10 points, 4 rebounds, 7 assists in 31 minutes. If he's good, the rich get richer. However, he is going to be out for the next 4 to 6 weeks, meaning he will miss part of the start of the season due to a testicular procedure. I don't want to know what happened. But so very disappointing to see him go down, especially after such a promising debut. Hopefully, a speedy recovery for him. And the entire B team played in this game. Isaiah Joe, Aaron Wiggins, Osman Dieng and Jalen Williams were the starters in this game, but no problem. They trucked the Hornets, and I don't really have a ton of notes for this team because all of the key players were out, and they basically left it to there's three or four guys fighting for the last two-way spot on this team. Chris Youngblood, Malevis Leons, Jay-Z Gortman, who previously played with Dallas, and Zach Austin. They all combined for like 56 points in this game, and they are fighting for the last roster spot on this team. So that'll be really the only thing to watch during this preseason for the Thunder. Kenrich Williams is out for a little bit to start the year, recovering from a procedure. Thomas Sorbert's out for the year. Now Tobic again is out. Wiggins had 23 points in this one. Jalen Williams with a Y, the big man, he had 17 points and hit 5 threes. Obviously, he is going to continue shooting threes at a high rate. And Osman Dieng, he's kind of been lost in the shuffle the first 3 years of his career, but he's looked good so far this preseason. Had 17 points and 3 threes in the start at the 4. With Kenrich sidelined, he might be able to carve a rotation role to start the year, so I guess that is something to keep an eye on for OKC during the preseason. Let's head on over to the Warriors. The Hornets. Well, Warriors in a minute. LaMelo and Brandon Miller were back in action. Con Kneppel started at the 2 for this team. He had 18 points. Trey Mann was the backup for Con. He had 7 points. He hasn't played since either November or December of last year. And Colin Sexton was the backup for LaMelo at point guard rather than shooting guard. So I did swap their positions. Moussa Diabat started at center, as Mason Plumlee was a DNP in this game. Ryan Kalkbrenner, for the most part, outplayed him, though. Had 11 and 7 in 25 minutes. So keep an eye on that. Diabat is on a non-guaranteed deal, so he's not a total lock to make this team, although obviously they do need a center. And certainly are very lacking in the talent department in that area. But I think Kalkbrenner is a sleeper for like one of the all-rookie teams, maybe even the first team if he ends up starting, because then he's guaranteed a huge role given how thin they are. And all these guys, of course, look better than Tijan Salon, who had 6 points, 6 rebounds in 24 minutes, shot 2 for 10. Has just not really lived up to his number 6 draft pick billing. Worth noting that Grant Williams and Josh Green are sidelined for all of the preseason. Check back on that later. So Liam McNeely basically slotted in for a pretty decent role to start the season until those guys get healthy as well. And Salon is also going to have a clear path. He's going to have to earn playing time, though, once some guys get healthy. Heading back to the Warriors, who I previously gaffed and mentioned. They started Curry, Pods, Moody, Butler, and Draymond Green went with a small ball lineup. Horford was the first sub off the bench, coming in for Moody, which then pushed the other two guys down in the lineup. Jonathan Kuminga, he had 2 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists. Is 4 assists a career high for him in 15 minutes? Obviously, he signed a pretty big deal in free agency recently. Probably going to get traded, though, around December. We'll see how long he ends up being part of the team. But aside from that, Horford, Melton, De'Anthony Melton, Seth Curry, and Gary Payton II all signed free agent deals, along with Kuminga and Al Horford to fill out the roster in the last week or so. Melton's going to be out to start the year. He's still recovering from his torn ACL that he suffered last January, I believe. So he'll probably miss the first 2 months of the year. Gary Payton II was the backup for Moody. And yeah, I don't really have any notes beyond that. Hield was the backup for Pods. Seth Curry is going to end up getting cut for like the first like 2 or 3 weeks of the year for apron purposes, and then they'll re-sign him to fit him back under. He did not play in this game. Pat Spencer not pictured because I can't add him to the fucking roster because 2K's roster editing interface is broken this year. Pat Spencer was essentially the backup point guard for Steph Curry. He is on a two-way, so expect them to lean heavily on him once the games start counting. And then as these guys get healthier, that he'll probably be down in the G League by January or so. Heading over to the Lakers, who the Warriors played. They ended up so the Warriors started their full line, and the Lakers very much did not. They did not play Luka or LeBron or even Austin Reeves in this game. Going with Gabe Vincent at the 1, Jared Vanderbilt at the 2, Jake LaRavia at the 3, Hachimura and Ayton rounding it out. The first subs of the game were Bronny James coming in at the 1 and Dalton Connect coming in for Vando at the 2. Woof. Vando at shooting guard, not exactly on my bingo card. He obviously, shooting is something that he definitely needs to work on. I believe he was like 1 of 3 in this game, so maybe he did work on it. Don't think he's a good enough ball handler, but certainly he's like one of their better point of attack defenders on the team, and this might be one of the only ways they can even get him in the lineup. But I mean, it is worth noting that also Marcus Smart didn't play. All the perimeter players on the team didn't play. So it was really just Bronny, Gabe Vincent, Connect. So, you know, there's been some funky things happening in the preseason so far. I think I actually can't remember if Tiero played, but yeah, they've been playing Jake LaRavia a lot this preseason, so it does look like they do like him a lot. But not really, you know, given that the second unit played against the first unit for the Warriors. Obviously, Lakers got smoked. Dalton Connect, 12 points off the bench, played a team high 34 minutes. He's looking to carve out a role after he kind of lost his footing late in the year last year. And then Bronny, kind of still a meme at this point. 5 points, had 5 turnovers in 23 minutes. So not looking great for him once the games start counting. He's essentially going to be the team's human victory cigar, similar to the Bucks' Thanasis Antetokounmpo, who somehow is back in the NBA. But Giannis, he did not play in this game. He's still recovering from he contracted COVID-19. Yep, that's still a thing that goes around. Go figure. Otherwise, the Bucks played their full expected starters. KPJ at the 1. Gary Trent at the 2, AJ Green, I assume, filled in for Giannis at the. He played the 3, and then Kuzma bumped up to the 4, and Miles Turner played the 5. Turner had 8 points, 2 blocks in his debut. Kuzma had 2 points, shot 1 of 8 from the field, picking up where he left off last year in Milwaukee. Amir Coffey not pictured because roster limitation reasons. He had 3 points on 1 of 5 shooting. He's in a camp battle with Thanasis, even though Thanasis has a guaranteed contract. I assume like maybe Chris Livingston and Andre Jackson, who is only partially guaranteed. Where the heck is he? Oh, I actually released him also for the same reason, for roster limitation purposes. Pete Nance had 15 points, 4 threes. Probably a better player than Tyler Smith, so maybe that's something to also keep an eye on. Maybe they end up moving Smith to a team with cap space like the Nets that can afford to develop a 20-year-old. Doesn't look like the Bucks are going to be able to have much of a role to offer him otherwise. And the Bucks, they played against the Heat in this one. The Heat still without all of their point guards, so they are running with Jaime Jaquez essentially as the starting point guard. Technically, it's Nikola Jovic as the primary ball handler. He had 7 assists in this one. Norm Powell had 18 points. Khalil Ware had 18 points and 13 rebounds off the bench. In 24 minutes, was also 2 of 4 from 3. If he plays like that, he's probably going to start next to Bam rather than come off the bench, but we'll see. Heading over to the Rockets, who they got their first preseason action. KD was a DNP, but the rest of the team otherwise played, aside from the guys who are obviously hurt. So we had Reed at the 1, Amen Thompson at the 2, Tari Eason subbed for Durant at the 3, and then Jabari Smith Jr. and Alperen Sengun at the 5. All eyes are on Reed Shepherd this preseason. He had 7 points on 2 of 6 shooting, 19 minutes, because obviously Fred VanVleet is out, and they're going to need Shepherd to step up in a big way. Didn't in this one. J.D. Davison was a big beneficiary of playing time, and I think kind of a forgotten man. Huge opportunity for him. He was G League MVP last year, ended up getting a standard contract with the Celtics for the playoff run. He had 17 points, 4 assists, shot 6 of 9 from the field, 5 of 7 from 3. I would expect them to ride him pretty heavily, and then it actually wouldn't surprise me if he ended up on a standard contract once they're able to move one of these other guys in trade, probably somebody like a Jeff Green at the deadline. So keep an eye on that for sure, because obviously you can't expect Shepherd and Holiday to play the whole 82 games. Davison's going to be a big part of what they do this season. The second quarter lineup for the Rockets was it was a jumbo lineup that we've seen a lot of talk about that. The Rockets are really interesting because of how versatile they are defensively. They had Reed at the 1, Amen Thompson not Amen Thompson, Tari Eason at the 2, Jabari Smith Jr. at the 3, Alperen Sengun at the 4, and Steven Adams at the 5. That's crazy. That is some crazy size. And then they also had Capella and Sengun in there as well. So I ended up switching Jabari Smith's secondary position. It was at center, but I think it's pretty clear that it is going to be small forward this coming season, just because the Rockets are so loaded at center that it's going to be very difficult for him to actually get on the court as a 5. Because they do want to play double big with Sengun, who, by the way, doesn't have power forward as a secondary position in the default 2K roster. What the fuck are they doing? So very, very, very interesting game. Probably the most anticipated one of the preseason for me so far. And I guess the other team that I've been waiting on a lot is the Hawks. We got to finally see what their rotation was going to look like. They had the expected starting lineup. That much is plain as this was an easy projection. Porzingis, he was okay in his debut, I guess. 5 points, 5 fouls, 15 minutes. But the big story for me was that Nickeil Alexander-Walker was essentially Trae Young's backup in this one. He's played all three perimeter positions at various points in his career. Was drafted as a point guard and then eventually became a 2 because he didn't really. He was more of a point of attack defender than he was like an offensive guy. But he's been backing up Trae in the preseason so far. Had 13 points, 11 minutes off the bench. So I ended up switching his position to point guard. Luke Kennard came in for Risache. He's looking more like, with the Grizzlies, he was a backup combo guard, shooting guard, point guard, but he might end up with the second position of small forward, based on how he's being used with the Hawks. It seems like he might be Reese Shea's backup. And then, like Nickeil Alexander-Walker, he's still going to play a lot of minutes, even though he's going to play next to Trae Young as well. So, in order to get those guys on the floor altogether, Kennard is probably going to have to play a little bit of 3. Obviously, not the greatest point of attack defender himself at the 2. Kind of small with the 6'5" wingspan to play the 3, but if what he brings on offense, they're just going to be outscoring opponents, I think, is the hope and goal. They ended the first quarter with a lineup of Trae, Kennard, or I guess Trae, Alexander-Walker at the 2, Kennard at the 3, and then double big Porzingis at the 5, and Onyeka Okongwu at the 4. I think Okongwu is going to end up playing more 4 than 5 this year, because the third quarter starters in this game were Alexander-Walker again at the 1, Dyson Daniels at the 2. That's a crazy defensive backcourt. Reese Shea at the 3, and then Okongwu at the 4, next to N'Faly Dante. So if Okongwu worked on his 3-point shot enough that he can actually stretch the floor a little bit, then I think it might make sense to change his secondary position to the 4, and then I'd probably end up making Asa Newell a 5 just to balance out the team roster a little bit. And if Okongwu is coming off the bench, playing a high 20-minute role, probably a favorite for 6th man of the year, especially with like Malik Beasley not in the NBA at the current moment. So let's head on over to Detroit. Speaking of Malik Beasley, as they have a new look bench. The starters were basically exactly as expected. Jalen Duren was a DNP in this game, so Stewart in his place, but everybody else, all the usuals. Jaden Ivey came back from his leg injury. He had 7 points. Cade had 20 points on 8 of 11 shooting in like 19 minutes. It was matched versus Ty Jerome, so go figure. Easy day. And then they went with a full line shift for the first substitution of the game, going with Sasser at the 1, LeVert at the 2, Robinson at the 3, Holland at the 4, and then Paul Reed at the 5. So pretty straightforward rotation for the Detroit Pistons. Not too much to discuss there. Head over to the Grizzlies. A little bit more to discuss with them. Ja Morant is week to week, apparently already. Is the Memphis Grizzlies season over already before it even started again? He joins Jaren Jackson Jr., Zach Edey, and Brandon Clark on the sideline. So they're both without their starting point guard and their entire starting front court. So the Grizzlies started Ty Jerome, KCP, Jalen Wells, Aldama, and Jock Landale. The new guards were good in their debut. Jerome had 16, KCP had 15. KCP hoping for a bounce back season. And hey, Ty Jerome, if he can, if Ja Morant is going to have another injury plagued season, it might be looking like he could end up having a career year in the starting lineup after coming mostly off the bench for the Grizz this year. And so obviously that's going to open up playing time for Scottie Pippen Jr. as well. Wonder how long it's going to take for the Grizz to end the Ja Morant era at the current rate. But the two ways on this team who Olivier Maxence Prosper is not pictured because, again, I can't add him to the actual team because 2K's got a broken fucking interface. They are going to be leaned on heavy with the injuries to the front court to start the season. So PJ Hall was the sixth man in this game. He's essentially the backup 5 to Jock Landale, and OMP is going to be playing a lot at. He's essentially the backup 4 to Aldama. The second unit for the Grizz was Pippen, John Conchar, Cedric Howard at the 3, and then Prosper at the 4 and Hall at the 5. So, oh boy, not a great start for Memphis. Jalen Wells, for what it's worth, also back from his wrist injury. I believe he had like 9 or 10 points let's head on over to the Spurs, who beat up a Chinese team in Victor Wembanyama's return to action from his deep vein thrombosis. And he looked fantastic. Had 9 points, 10 rebounds, 7 assists, 3 blocks, and in only 16 minutes. Um, Possibly, like, I don't know if the Spurs are going to win enough for him to be in the MVP conversation, but if he plays like that, he might force his way in. Lots of Spurs were out in this game. Obviously, they were playing against a Chinese team, so it didn't matter. Although the Chinese team itself actually had a lot of NBA players. Victor Oladipo is playing in for the Guangzhou Lung Lions. Had 20 points and 5 steals. So good to see him back in action. I didn't realize that he signed in China. He's been looking to make an NBA comeback. So really showcase himself in this game. Maybe he gets a chance later in the year. Frank Kaminsky also. Former NBA player, most recently of the Suns. He had 22 points and 5 threes in this game. And they also had Tim Frazier, backup point guard in the NBA a couple of years ago. Justin Holiday, brother of Drew, George King, and Deontay Burton. So the Chinese team actually had 6 foreign-born players. They used to be restricted to only like 2 or 3, so I guess the Chinese league has extended that. That's doesn't really matter too much in NBA 2K. They are eventually adding like the European teams and stuff, and not the Chinese teams, at least as of yet. But it's good that all these guys that kind of get squeezed out of the NBA, at least if the Chinese teams can legally sign more of them, they get to keep extending their careers, and who knows, maybe Oladipo or Kaminsky will get their cup of coffee back in the league at some point. But finishing out the rest of the Spurs, Fox, Castle, Harper, Vassell, Sohan, McLaughlin, and Olynyk sat out this game. So the Spurs ran with a point guardless starting lineup. They had Keldon Johnson at the 1, Lindy Waters the 2nd at the 2, and then Julian Champagny, and then Barnes and Wemby rounding things out. So Keldon Johnson at the 1, obviously not great, but that's probably a decent reason why Oladipo had 5 steals, because he was playing against a backcourt that didn't exist. Wemby did have 6 turnovers, I believe, in this game. Maybe that was possibly why. He had to do a lot offensively without any initiators on the team. Let's head on over to the Mavericks as Cooper Flagg. He made his debut, and the Mavericks had a pretty standard. Their expected lineup, clean. Flagg himself was really impressive. 10 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 block, 0 turnovers in 14 minutes. Shot 3 of 6 from the field, 2 of 3 from 3, 2 for 2 from the line. Really solid debut for him in the preseason. Daniel Gafford is going to miss the next 2 to 3 weeks, so he's probably out for the preseason and maybe the first week of the regular season. We'll see. My only other note is Jaden Hardy. I switched him over to backup point guard as he was the backup for Russell in this game. I believe Brandon Williams was the DNP. I didn't look too hard at the boxes. But otherwise, Powell was the backup 5, Washington was the backup 4, Marshall was the backup 3, and Christie was the backup 2. So that's worth noting. Technically, Brandon Williams is on a non-guaranteed deal, so even though he was impressive last year, he still needs to continue playing at that level in order to make the team. And we're going to head back to the Thunder because they played a back-to-back during preseason. What the fuck is going on? They only shot 31% and 28% from the field. From 3 in this game, 14 of 51. Obviously, they were probably tired and not pushing too hard in the second game of a back-to-back and a preseason game. I don't remember that ever happening before. Obviously, Topic was out for the second game, so Casey Wallace, he ended up getting the start at the 1. He was joined by Isaiah Joe at the 2. Brooks Barnhizer got a start at the 3 as Wiggins sat this one out. Barnhizer had 16 points. Dieng had another solid game in the starting lineup, 12 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, so it does look like he might carve out a rotation role to start the year. Worth noting, he is also in a contract season. And then for all those guys that we mentioned before that are fighting for the the last roster spot. They combined for 36 points. I'm not gonna care too much about any of them until we know which one is going to be the one who makes the cut. Head over to the Nuggets. Joker had 17 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, 5 of 5 from the field, 7 of 9 from the line in 21 minutes. Obviously, the best player in the world is in mid-season form. Had a good Euro basket this past summer. Christian Brown, he had 19 points, 8 of 8 from the field, 3 from 3. The Nuggets overall shot 57%. Peyton Watson started for Aaron Gordon in this one. Otherwise, the same lineup and rotation for the Nuggets as they showed in the last one, and they beat the Raptors in Vancouver. There they are. Haha. Brandon Ingram made his debut in a Raptors uniform, had 19 points. RJ Barrett also had 19 points. He was also starting over Grady Dick, which I anticipated this. I had already preemptively changed RJ Barrett to a 2-guard, which he started there with the Knicks before the trade to Toronto. And Jakob Poeltl was a DNP in this one, so Jonathan Mugbo got the start at the 5, and then center Mamo Kelishvili had 15 points on 6 of 8 shooting off the bench. Looks like he might, he's really good at putting up numbers for middling lottery teams. Looks like the Raptors might be that again, but we'll see. They might have to. This is an expensive team. I'm hopeful that the Raptors are like good enough defensively, because the East is so banged up that like they should be pushing for a playoff spot, or at least it's going to be hard for them not to be a play-in team at the very least, given like the direction of some of the East teams. They're definitely going to be trying harder than, like, let's say as soon as Jaylen Brown has like a sore knee, they're not going to be pushing him hard or anything. The Celtics are. So like the Raptors should be able to get like 7-8 at the very least in the seeding. But anyway, that was the Real 2K recap. There's 2 games coming up on Tuesday, and then and then there's I believe another 6 or so on Wednesday. So I'm probably gonna wait to do another recap on Wednesday, as these can go by kind of quick if there's only 2 games. So be on the lookout for that. Hope you're enjoying this content and what's going on in the preseason. Let me know in the comments if there's anything that I missed out on. Obviously, I haven't gotten a chance to really sit down and watch any of these games. So if you've sat down and watched anything and you saw something that you liked, let us know in the comments, and it'll be something on my radar that I check moving forward. Thanks again for watching and listening, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.